Good afternoon and welcome to CBM Calling for Friday, April the 17th. Our deep apologies if this is your third time attempting to watch this. This is our third time attempting to make this go live. So welcome again for the first time, or maybe the second time, and quite possibly the third time. But we are so glad that you have taken time, a lot of time this afternoon, to follow along with us today. A couple things I want to tell you before we get started. The first is that there is a chat option here on Facebook Live. If you'd like to say hi or ask a question, feel free to do that and we'll do our best to respond to those. We also have a live poll available if you are engaged in online learning, either as an educator or as a student. We have a quick poll for you and you can click the link and respond to that poll. My name is Louise Hannem and I work with Canadian Baptist Ministries in the area of youth engagement, as well as the coordinator for the SENT program. And this afternoon on CBM Live, I am so excited to introduce you to David and Suzannah Nacho, who are our CBM Field Staff based in Costa Rica. And they are just incredible friends, not only colleagues, but really dear friends. I met David and Suzannah in 2008 in El Salvador. They began their ministry with CBM in San Salvador, and I was able to visit them and get to know them for the first time. And since then, have just enjoyed them so much that I have followed them around North America and South America for a number of years, visiting them in Argentina when they moved there to continue their ministry, and then on to Bolivia, and now in Costa Rica. And I just returned about a month ago with a SENT team from the East Coast of Canada and the West Coast. And we were able to spend a week with David and Suzannah and their family and learning about their ministry through CETI. So welcome. It's so good. It's good to see you again this way. It was so much better to see you in person in beautiful Costa Rica and to be with your family. But this is wonderful too. Tell me about how life is going. Tell me what the last month or so has been like and what your new normal looks like now.
Yeah, thank you. It's again, it was wonderful to be with you at the beginning of March and with the team from Canada. And I think you guys left on a Monday, and then that March 10th, the Wednesday, the kids were sent home from school, and that's when the lockdown began for us as a family. So that, yeah, the kids have been in the house for more than a month, and we've been doing homeschool the best we can, but we've just been enjoying the time together, taking a slower pace. David had to cancel 2 trips to Colombia and to Brazil, but we're enjoying this time together. And in Costa Rica, they closed the borders. They began a kind of state of emergency around the 16th of March and closed the borders and had everyone staying home. There's been driving restrictions, things like that, so that things have really been quiet this past month. Yeah, and I think people are getting a little antsy here, but it's worked. The numbers haven't gone up because of that, but now people are starting to pour back out onto the streets, I think. The bigger impact is the social, the implications of the borders closing and how that has affected the tourism, which is a huge industry, one of the big ones here in Costa Rica. So that's affected a lot of our partners too. Especially the ones that are on the coast. The church that you went to visit, 90% of people in that church get their job is in tourism. Mm-hmm. So right now, having a really hard time trying to figure out how to make up for these months that there aren't any tourists. And our church has been doing some food baskets, things like that. David went and helped on Wednesday to distribute those. So those are different ways that people have been reaching out. So it's really, even though the numbers haven't gone up so much for the virus, it's really impacted people's work and income here.
Yeah, absolutely. With so much tourism and borders closing, the job loss is incredible. So yeah, absolutely. Sure, and you have 3 beautiful, energetic children. So we will indeed pray for you as you attempt to keep them in the house and homeschool them. It was just a joy to be with them again and to laugh with them and to watch their enthusiasm and watch your family together. David, tell us about your work with CETI. Maybe tell us a little bit about CETI and what you do with CETI, and what you're hearing and what you're seeing and how you've moved some of that online. Obviously, your travel has been canceled, but we know that you're still continuing to teach. So tell us about CETI and what you're hearing through your ministry.
Thanks, Louise. For everyone, CETI is the Center for Interdisciplinary Theological Studies, and we focus on forming leaders and theological education for the laity, so that the whole people of God can embrace the mission of God. In that program, we have a graduate ministry and a basic program. We call it the certificate. I'm in charge of the certificate program. The graduate program is online, so it hasn't suffered much change except for one cancellation, of course. But my program, the certificate, is church-based, study groups, and that's been really hard the last few weeks. Just trying to understand the impact and just give time to the partners to get their bearings in their new situation, try to find alternative ways to keep meeting and that kind of stuff. And so it's been a lot of just keeping in touch with people and hearing their stories. One of the biggest aspects or the hardest things time has been seeing more closely the vulnerability in the different countries and communities in Latin America, but especially in those ones where we have partners. Suzannah already talked about the vulnerability in Costa Rica, but we have partners in Honduras, in the countryside, where social distancing is a bit easier because people live in sort of far from each other, but there's no water. So, how do you wash your hands? That kind of stuff. So for vulnerability in Ecuador, we have a big partner in Guayaquil, which has been hit just horrendously by the pandemic, right? We heard people, horrific stories of just corpses being left on the street because the system just collapsed, and people have to hold on to their deceased relatives, family members for 5 days, or that kind of stuff. The coordinator for our program there, lost I think 2 aunts and 1 uncle, something like that. So we don't know when they're going to restart, and we can't even ask, when, or begin to ask ourselves, when things could go back to normal. And Ecuador has been particularly difficult because they only report about 400 or something deaths, but if you look at all the numbers, the number of daily registered deaths has grown 5-fold. But not all of them have been cataloged as corona cases, but it's 5-fold increase daily. So something's wrong, right? So, just vulnerability, even in the political aspect, we have over half of our student population in Brazil. And, the polarization, the political polarization in Brazil has actually harmed people because you get contradictory orders or instructions from the president and the health minister, that sort of stuff. And, churches sort of playing into one of those camps. So it's, but it's severe. Actually, one of my big trip to Brazil was interrupted because of Corona. Brazil is the hardest hit country in Latin America with about 2,000 deaths. And again, we don't know when things can begin to, or when you can ask even that question, but when we'll go to normal. We have another partner actually outside Latin America in Portugal, which hasn't been as hard as Spain or Italy, but it's pretty severe there. Although they were able to implement containment measures earlier on, so it's not as hard. But it was our partner had to interrupt the studies. So anyhow, we've just seen vulnerability uncover the hard realities in which our countries or partners live in those countries. So it's been a time of intense prayer for the CETI team and for us personally, because you just can get really overwhelmed with all these things, and it's hard to even focus on work. Even though in some cases for us work has increased because of management and that kind of stuff, but it's been hard to focus on some days, just because you hear so many bad things. So and other things. I mean, we just had to suspend. We were exploring possibilities in Guatemala or go back to Cuba, and all those things have come to. All those conversations have come to stop, because we just don't know when we can begin to think about that. But yeah, it's been again a time of intense prayer, and I think it was very, in a sense, it was a blessing that that it was Lent too, and that we had Easter, because it does make you think about what actually resurrection means, right? And what sort of hope it is that we talk about when we talk about evangelism or just Christian presence in society.
Absolutely. David, you talked about just how difficult it is to focus, and those, so much of your work has changed and the travel has stopped, being busier than ever. I think a lot of people can relate to that, this inability to focus, but being busier than ever. And so thank you to both of you for being able to be so flexible, to shift your ministry. And we know that you are continuing to work so hard. And while of course, churches are closed and some of the CETI circles aren't functioning in the same way, we know that you have relationships with people globally, not just in Latin America, but globally. And so thank you for pastoring those people and caring for them deeply, and listening to stories. And we will continue to pray for you as you hear those. It's a lot to carry, indeed. And so thank you that we're able, as a body of faith, to continually give those to the Lord, to carry them with us. But thank you for doing that and continuing to minister, and the whole CETI team. We're certainly thinking of you. We do just want to take a moment, as David and Suzannah have talked about CETI. It was wonderful to be able to be in Costa Rica and be able to visit a church that has a student who completed the master's program and then has started CETI circles there as well. And to see this incredible program, which is so much more than a program. It seems silly to call it that. It's so much more than that. But if you'd like to learn more about their ministry, we'll just show you here how you can navigate to our CBM website. If you go to cbmin.org, you can go to where it says Our People, and you can find David and Suzannah Nacho, their family picture. And below that, you can click on that link and it will show you all of their newsletter updates, and you can follow along their ministry, and there'll be lots more explanation about what they do and the countries that they work in. There's a place for prayer requests and a place to support them as well. So we'd encourage you just to pop over to the website when you have a moment to check that out. There it is. If you go to Our Story and then Meet Our People, and you can see all of our field staff, and then David and Suzannah Nacho, Costa Rica. There they are. There's their beautiful children.
Yeah.
And then this is their ministry page, as we have for all of our field staff. And you can email them, you can check out their newsletters and stay connected with their ministry. Last but not least, how can we pray for you? What are some practical ways that, especially those churches that are engaged with you, that support you, how can we be engaged with praying for you in both the challenges and as we thank God together for the good things that you're seeing?
Yeah. Well, definitely, I think you know, this has brought us all together. We know that what we're going through here in Costa Rica, you're going through as well. And I think we're all relating to those stories of, like you said, not being able to concentrate home with kids, helping them with schoolwork. Also, just gratitude for this time together, gratitude that we are together here and that we can share this. Like David was saying, really being grateful for remembering, you know, we just came out of, they call it Semana Santa here, which is the week before Easter, but remembering how Christ entered and walked through all of this with us. So just gratitude for walking through this with our supporters in Canada and in the States and other parts of the world we're all going through this together. And I feel we're praying for you too. We really want everyone to know that. And our supporters that have reached out to us, it's been good to communicate and just, you know, unite our voices and pray for one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hear from you. So drop us an email or a Facebook message or anything. Please pray for clarity of mind in this confusing and clumsy days that we're living. Also, that we may continue being a pastoral presence, however, whatever shape that continues to take. For our local church here, we are supporting their efforts to help out very vulnerable families, and it's a challenge. And the longer this goes on, the more difficult that becomes. And pray for good ideas and good words to come to us. There is one thing that we're hoping will be a blessing to the circles and the partners around the continent, and it has to do with training in we call it economic solidarity models. So practices and ways of being and handling our economy in ways that reflect solidarity. Because it's going to be difficult, even when this is gone, the financial and social repercussions of this are going to be with us for a while. So we want to prepare our partners and just inspire their imagination to think in these different models, alternative or countercultural to the world. So economic solidarity seems to be something that is that will be good for this time. So we're still designing that that proposal. So pray for us for effectiveness in ministry during this time.
Absolutely. We will do that, indeed. And again, thank you. David and Suzannah are brilliant teachers. I can't stress that enough. We were able to be with them both and learn from both of them. And we certainly had an extended period of time with David when we were there on the Sent trip, learning from him as he walked us through scripture, as he shared with us God's heart for the vulnerable, for those who are poor and marginalized. And not only are you both brilliantly gifted at communicating that, but you're gifted at living that out and inspiring us to do that. So thank you for your leadership and thank you for your gifts in that area. And we know that that those who you work with will indeed be blessed by your creativity and your wisdom and your discernment as you lead through this really difficult time in our world. So we look forward to hearing more updates from you. We know things are changing daily, and we'll certainly check back in with you and get an update. And blessings to your family as well, to your 3 kids. We miss them a ton, and we just trust that they'll get outside eventually. Indeed.
I know.
And we trust that we'll be able to come and visit you again sometime.
Yeah, it was wonderful to be with you.
Good. I will continue to follow you around Central and South America. So we'll see you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Louise, and love to you and your girls. Thank you.
Blessings.
Thanks, everyone.
I do want to invite you to join us back at CBM Calling on Monday. Terry Smith will be speaking with the Susies, who are our field staff in Guatemala, and they'll be bringing an update, and that broadcast will actually be in French. So you can join us at 3:30 Eastern Time on Monday with Terry and the Susies. Before we sign off, I do want to say hello to, let's see here. Yeah, so Gordon Dickinson at Cornerstone Baptist, he had a team of 5 who were just with us in Costa Rica, as well as Estella and Randy and Ali, supporters of ours.
Yes,
so,
hi.
People checking in to say hello. So please continue to be in touch with David and Suzannah through, you can find their email online, and do say hello, and don't forget to encourage them and to pray for them. So again, thank you so much, and blessings. Have a fantastic weekend.